What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus package update, stimulus check update, daily news, and everything going on here in our country, in Washington, D.C., and everything you need to know about on a daily basis, money, investing, the stock market. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so you don't miss out on new videos that come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will keep you up to date with everything going on here in our country. And don't forget to hit the like button for us down below. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. We got a lot to talk about here today. We'll start here with this one. The IRS announces that all third round economic impact payments, also known to most people as stimulus checks. Remember, stimulus checks have had a couple official names: economic impact payments, tax rebates. Remember that they're actually tax rebates. Even if you don't file taxes, stimulus checks are actually considered tax rebates on your tax return. That's why non-filers have to or had to initially go back and file the tax non-filer form. But technically, stimulus checks are tax rebates. But the IRS announces here that all third round economic impact payments have been sent for 2021. Now, if you didn't receive the third stimulus check, you will need to claim this on a tax return. Okay. So if you're not a normal tax return filer, you're going to want to probably file a tax return for 2021. Okay. You can see here, you could do that by claiming the stimulus check, third stimulus check, on line 30 on your 1040. So this is only if you didn't receive your third stimulus check. You're going to want to claim it on line 30 on a tax return. You can file a simple tax return. You can just go on Google and type in IRS file simple tax return. You can do it for free if you think you're up to doing it. Okay. If you think you can, do it yourself. You can also go to an H&R Block, or you can do it online through TurboTax. So if you're filing your taxes with TurboTax, or filing it online with the IRS, or filing it with a tax provider, or with H&R Block or something like that, you'll claim your third stimulus check if you didn't get it on line 30. You also can go back if you didn't get stimulus check 1 or stimulus check 2. That's for year 2020. You can file a 2020 tax return. If you didn't file that, if you're not normally a tax filer, you can go back and file a 2020 tax return to claim stimulus check 1 or stimulus check 2. This also goes for any dependents you have, any children or any adult dependents that you have. You can claim those stimulus checks for 2020, stimulus check 1 or 2, or 2021, stimulus check 3, and any dependents you have. Also for 2021, remember that the child tax credits, the first half of the year, you're going to need to file a tax return to claim that. Even if you're not normally a tax filer, if you're a non-filer, you're going to need to file a tax return to claim that. Remember that $1,500 to $1,800, depending on the age of your child, you're going to need to file a tax return to claim that. Even if you're not normally a tax filer, if you have children, you're going to need to file a tax return to claim that money. Okay, so if you're not comfortable with doing this, just go to an H&R Block, or go through TurboTax, or file it online. Or file it online, you're going to have to do it yourself, but you're going to need to do this to claim that money. It's $1,500 to $1,800 per child, because remember, the first 6 months of those monthly payments you didn't get. They didn't start the monthly payments until July, the second half of the year. But you are going to need to file a tax return to get that money. If you don't file a tax return, you're not going to get that $1,500 to $1,800 per child. Okay, so keep that in mind. So if you're not normally a tax filer, then you're going to need to do that. Also, I want to note that there's several states that are probably going to be, or are going to be, doing stimulus checks or tax refunds, tax rebates, whatever you want to call them. Remember that a stimulus check is actually considered a tax rebate. It's the same thing. Whether the states call them stimulus checks, remember that the California Golden State stimulus check, it's a tax rebate. Remember, stimulus checks are tax rebates. It's the same thing. Okay, whether the states call them stimulus checks or tax rebates, it's literally the same thing. Okay, whether they what they call them, it's irrelevant, right? There's multiple states that have already announced that they're going to be sending stimulus checks or tax rebates for 2022. I just did a really big video on that. I'll link you to that at the end of this video so you can click on that and watch that. I don't know, there's like 10 states that have already announced that or something like that for 2022. If you're not a normal tax filer, you might want to consider filing a 2021 tax return for your state to be able to get that money. Again, you might want to ask a tax professional in your state if you should do this. If you don't know, or ask an uncle or aunt or something, or somebody who knows your personal situation, if you should do this, if you're not normally a tax filer, if this would help you claim the stimulus check or the tax rebate from your state. So keep that in mind, because I do see some people say, well, I'm not normally a tax filer. And remember, most of these states are going to require you to file a tax return because they won't know about you if you don't file a tax return, and also they won't know your income. Because remember, a lot of these states are going to have you be a certain. It depends. Some states are going to require you to file a tax return because they need to see your income. For example, the California Golden State stimulus checks, you have to make below $75,000. So you have to file a tax return so they know how much money you make. Because if you don't file a tax return, they don't know what your income is. Right? Makes sense? So if you're not normally a tax filer, you could just simply file a simple tax return, tell them what your income is, and then they'll know that you're below the $75,000. But again, everybody's personal situation is different. So this is kind of general advice. Each person's situation is different. So talk to a person, talk to somebody for your own individual advice, because it'll be much more personalized to you. And I really think there's going to be a lot more stimulus type help, whether it's federal stimulus checks, like a fourth stimulus check, or I think there's also going to be a lot more state stimulus checks, tax rebates, whatever you want to call them here in 2022. Remember that each state got over $1 billion from the third stimulus check package from last year, 2021. And not a single state has spent all the money. I don't even think a single state has spent even half the money. So that's why a lot of these states, some states have actually written into their bylaws, their state laws, that if they have a certain amount of surplus money, they have to, by law, refund the money back to their residents. Yeah, it's really cool that they actually have that written into their state laws. So some of these states actually have to give it back by law. They don't have a choice. So I went over that in the other video. If you didn't see that video, you definitely want to watch that. I'll link you to that at the end of this video. It's really cool that states are like kind of forced to, by law, give state stimulus checks. And there's going to be a lot more states giving back these state stimulus checks as they kind of figure out how much budget surplus they have this year. We're seeing, in fact, one state has as much of an $850 stimulus check coming this year. Remember the California Golden State stimulus check? It had $600 and $1,100 stimulus checks last year. They could be having another stimulus check this year. We're going to see a lot of those. Some of them are as low as like $100. Some of them are several $100s. Some of them are close to $1,000. Hey, every little bit adds up, and these are state stimulus checks. There's also rent assistance, mortgage assistance, utility assistance. I have links down below in the description of this video on how to claim that. We just had $100 million of new utility assistance that was approved for low-income Americans. So that's utility assistance. Again, links down below in the description of this video. If you're to open up the description, if you don't see it, you might need to click the little down arrow next to the title, or just click the title and it kind of opens up the description, and then you'll see links in there showing you how to apply for those, because that's basically stimulus money that was approved from the last stimulus package that you can basically get now. And it's pretty cool, because if you don't watch this show, of course you're watching the show because you're here watching it, but a lot of people don't know about this money, right? So because you watch our channel, you're in the know. You actually get a leg up on everybody else. But if you went and gone and just ask 10 of your friends, hey, do you know about rental assistance? Do you know about mortgage assistance? Do you know about utility assistance? Do you know you can get several $100s to up to $1,500 in utility assistance? Do you know you can get up to 12 months or more of your rent paid? Do you know there's $80,000 of homeowners assistance you can get from the last stimulus package? They'd be like, what? Or they'd be like, oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, yeah, I heard about that. Or like, are you sure? Yeah. Well, yeah. They wouldn't. They most people would have no idea, or they'd be like, oh yeah, I heard about that. Are you sure that's real? And then, of course, if you've read our comments, in fact, if you've gotten some of that stuff, comment down below. You'll see comments of people saying, I got 3 months of rent assistance, I got 6 months of rent assistance, I've got 12 months of rent assistance. I've literally seen thousands and thousands of comments here throughout the months of people that have gotten rent assistance, utility assistance, and actually the homeowners assistance is actually something that has just recently opened up here at the end of December and in January. So that's actually pretty new stimulus money. There's $9.9 billion of that was allocated from the last stimulus package, and it just kind of started to open up here at the end of last year and early this year. So that's states are just kind of opening that up now. So if you're a homeowner, that's something actually pretty new here. Also, next up here is President Biden talking about several different things here as he was just out talking about, and then that bridge collapsed. He was kind of right in the area. Several different things he's talking about. Check this out.
Well, hello, Pittsburgh. It's good to be back. It really is good to be. Before I begin, let me just talk a little bit about what we all just saw, many of us saw this morning. A bridge more than 50 years old, I think it was 150 years, it says 50 years old, but I thought it was older, collapsed right here in Pittsburgh. It had been rated in poor condition for the past 10 years. What you all know, if you don't, you should know, there are another 3,300 bridges here in Pennsylvania, some of which are just as old and just as decrepit condition as that bridge was, including here in Pittsburgh, the city of bridges. I've been coming to Pittsburgh a long time. I'm a Pennsylvania kid. I was born and raised the first part of my life in Pennsylvania, and I've been to Pittsburgh a lot. But all these years, I never knew Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, had more bridges than any other city in the world. Yo! But across the country, there are 45,000 bridges in poor condition. It's just simply unacceptable. That's why your governor and your members of Congress, your mayor, have been saying for years, we have to do something about this. I've talked about it every time I've come to Pittsburgh, and we finally got it done. A bipartisan infrastructure law, including the largest investment in our nation's bridges since the Eisenhower put together the interstate highway system. And I might add, this is the first time in the country's history that we dedicated a national program to repair and upgrade bridges. And it's about time. The governor can tell you we're giving state and local leaders historic funding to make national projects real. Here in Pennsylvania, that means at least $1.6 billion for bridges alone.
Yeah, and I've been to Pittsburgh several different times with my wife. We've went to their Pittsburgh Pirates baseball stadium there. It's absolutely beautiful. It's got quite a scenic view there in the home run stadium. The view of the city there is absolutely just breathtaking. But he's right. There's so many bridges there. You just literally sometimes you're getting off an exit and it's like bridge, and your GPS kind of loses signal because you're underneath four other bridges, and uh, it's kind of right. You kind of think infrastructure has not been done for so long here in our country, and they're just going to start to get that money moving and kind of get all the crews moving here in 2022. But think about how many bridges and stuff like that have not been had billions and billions of dollars allocated. Think about how much it costs to fix one bridge and redo a whole bridge. And imagine, think about how many bridges there are in the United States. This bridge collapse, there's 10 people injured We don't know if any of them are going to die yet. I don't know. Gives me the heebie-jeebies even thinking about that. Our thoughts and prayers go out to them. But imagine if you were on a bridge and it collapsed. And this, I mean, imagine just how many bridges there are across the country that are decades and decades and decades old in quote poor condition that haven't been worked on for who knows how many years and basically need the money. You think about how many cities just don't have, you know, tens of millions of dollars to fix that bridge. Well, now they will. And you got to think roads as well. You know how much it costs to redo a road? Millions of dollars. You know how many cities don't have that money? Now they will. And it's just something that like cities and counties, they don't have that money. And now they will. It's something that has long been, oh, we don't have the money for it, right? I mean, you know how cities and towns are, right? So now they will have the money for that. But yeah, it's a scary situation. That stuff probably happens more frequently than we think. Here's what he had to say next.
All of these investments in making it American research and development infrastructure are really about one thing: empowering more cities and more towns to do what you're doing right here in Pittsburgh, transforming yourself from being told you're a city without a future to becoming the city of the future. Think what your kids are going to have with this leadership you have in front of you here. 15 years from now, here in Pittsburgh, we're going to lead the world again. It's not hyperbole. It's a fact. Where, instead of shuttering factories along the Allegheny River, we're going to now talk about, not Steel World, we're going to talk about Robotics Row. 3-mile run with some of the world's most innovative businesses. A place where the future is being written, where families can have good paychecks, good homes, a future, and a little bit of breathing room. The story we have kept writing here in Pittsburgh, you keep writing in communities all across the country, is the one you've begun. But we can't slow down, folks. We need to ease the burden on working families, making everything more affordable and accessible to hardworking people. That's what my Build Back Better plan is all about. That's why those major corporations came to the White House asking to see me to tell me they supported Build Back Better, even though it was going to increase their taxes. This plan will not cost the American people a single penny beyond. No one making less than $400,000 will pay a single additional penny in their taxes. And it reduces the deficit. And 14 Nobel laureates in economics wrote to me telling me that it would also diminish the impact of inflation. Take child care. How many families in this town can continue to afford to pay $14,000 per kid for child care? Well, the plan I have cuts that in half for most families, helping with their budgets, helping millions of parents, especially women, go back to work. How many of you know anybody who has type 1 diabetes? They need insulin. You know how much it costs to make that insulin? Less than $10. You know how much it costs on average nationwide for a monthly supply of insulin, which you needed every single month? $656, as high as $1,000. Imagine being the parent making the minimum wage or twice the minimum wage and having a child with type 1 diabetes, knowing that if you can't, and have no insurance, knowing if you cannot get that money for the insulin, your child may die. In addition to your child, it strips you of your dignity, damn it. Can you imagine looking at your child and you know what they need and not be able to do it? Many of you have lost children. Many of you have seen. Imagine. It's outrageous. And we have an answer. At the same time, same is true for home and community-based services for seniors and people with disabilities. Folks, look. What's the one thing, if you a lot of you are part of the so-called sandwich generation. You have a child that you need to get daycare so you can go out and work, as well as you got a mom or a dad who's elderly and living at home and they don't want to move out of their house. They don't have to sell every single thing they have to be able to move into a nursing home. But the data shows 88,000 people qualify, 800,000 people qualify under Medicare to get that help, but it's not available. And sometimes it's as little as making sure there's someone there just to pick up the prescription, put a handrail in the shower, making sure someone can show up and help the meal. It's cheaper for everybody. It's a decent thing to do. Because the parents deserve to have a little bit of dignity. And it will not increase the deficit, and it will not cost anybody making less than $4,000, $400,000 a penny. I'm a capitalist. If you can make $1 billion, $1 million, go at it. It's good. But at least pay a little bit. Fortune 500 companies. In Fortune 500 companies the last 2 years, there are 55 who made over $40 billion. Didn't pay a cent in taxes. I'm not talking about anybody paying any more than they did 10 years ago. Look, we know how to ease the pressure on families. We're increasing productivity and the potential for our economy. We can afford these investments by making sure the wealthiest just pay a little bit without increasing the deficit. As I said, no one earning less than, I guarantee you, check it out, no one earning less than $400,000 will ever pay another penny. And I told you about the impact of 17 Nobel laureates saying it's going to decrease inflation, not increase it. So here's the bottom line. The United States is in a position to outcompete the rest of the world once again. We're at a real inflection point. Technology, society's changing, and we've always been ahead of the curve. We have an incredible opportunity ahead of us, but we still face tremendous challenges. But if we can keep coming together and invest in the backbone of this country, there's no limit to what we can achieve. So let's continue to give working families a fighting chance. Let's keep investing in the future of every city and town in this country. Let's face the challenges head on. Let's keep building a better America, because it's totally, completely within our power. I promise you.
So let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I will keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country, in Washington, D.C., and stimulus related. Make sure to click the subscribe button down below if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet. It's completely free to do so. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click this top video here to watch my newest video next. Or you can click this video to see all those different states that just announced the stimulus checks or are considering stimulus checks coming out here this year. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.